DevDelight, development done right. A-Flex, it's time to get it hype. Tune in, trust you don't want to miss. Teaching you programming and coding and JavaScript.
You use Vim to code because you use Vim to code in C. I use Vim to code in everything.
Yeah,
in Java.
This is the master of Vim.
I'm not in. I've been using it.
Your Vim config file is like 1,000 lines.
Actually, that's a very bad thing. That's actually, here's the thing: all the Vim
the gurus,
they're all are against having a lot of plugins using your Vim ERC. Like it's all about being clean and stuff like that, because they like to use minimal amount of plugins.
Well, your Vim is basically an IDE.
Yeah, so
there's stuff in your Vim which I don't think you can do.
So people that don't use Vim, right? Usually they're like, what is the point of using Vim when you can just like use Atom or like Sublime or like what's popular now. A lot of. I have top 3 reasons. Let's go. Do you have to let's go with the top 3?
It's like one of those things, just like. It's a very for a lot of people, they don't want to talk about anything outside of Vim, and for a lot of people, it's like, who are these boring people who are still using Vim, right? So there's always a war between.
There's always an extreme, but don't forget there's also Emacs. And that's like a whole different breed. That's I have a friend.
It's like an iPhone versus Google Pixel. OnePlus 7 and all that.
Sure. But that's like the Emacs and Vim, right? But in terms of listen, here's the thing. Yeah. My theory is like this, right? There's a lot of whatever programming environment you use, it doesn't dictate how good you are of engineer or anything, right?
Yeah.
I use it's just tools, just like programming languages. One thing is what's the a lot of newbies ask what's the best language to learn? Yeah. The language is just a tool to get a job done. You got to learn computer science fundamentals. That's what you got to learn. Same thing with coding editors. Listen, I sometimes use Sublime to take notes, not to code. But the thing is, here's the thing. But I'll tell you this. There's a lot of good developers, but there's not many bad developers that use Vim, right? Because to use Vim, it's a learning curve. You're gonna be really into coding.
I see your point.
I never met a bad developer that uses Vim. But. So that's the thing.
That's a good point. It kind of filters out, the lazy people.
Yeah, it's like a filter, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying you might be a genius coder and use. I know a lot of them use Eclipse and stuff like that to program in Java. But I'm just saying, in general, when I see someone use on the Apple team, I was the only one using them. And my friend Alexei that worked with me. He saw me using it. I gave him some config files and stuff like that, and he started getting into it too. Boom! Now he's another fan.
Well, here's the crazy part. There's a thing called GVim.
There's NeoVim. There's Mac. There's different variations.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing as using an Android system and then putting them on top of that. Putting on layers. So GVim is basically has more user interface to it. Graphical user interface. GVim, yeah.
Boom. Ask Ubuntu. What's the difference between GVim and Vim? Oh, it's a built-in GUI where you need a terminal element.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of But then here's the thing. Give me your reasons why you use Vim.
Well, I personally was inspired by this guy who was a pretty smart guy. So I was doing an internship at GE Research in Niskayuna, New York, in the middle of nowhere, Albany, upstate New York. And I was there for 4 months, almost. It was August till December, and I left right before the snowstorms came in. And so this guy, he was a PhD and a scientist in my team, and I saw, that was my first time basically in corporate environment, and I see this guy having 3 different monitors with Vim on everything, with 20 tabs on one and then like 30 tabs on another one, and just like switching back and forth using just his keyboard. And I was like, wow, what is this? And that was me as someone who just entered the software engineering domain as an engineer, and seeing that for the first time, I was like, wow. And,
what were you using at that time?
I think honestly, to be honest, at that point I didn't really know much about coding.
Okay. This is when you were starting out.
Yeah.
So you started with Vim right away.
Yeah, this was my internship, and I actually worked on a lot of cool stuff at the position.
Okay, but that's how you got into Vim. But what are your favorite things about Vim?
So the favorite things about Vim is basically you don't need to use the mouse, first of all.
That was one of mine. Damn. Okay, there you go. That's how you know it's a real Vim user.
Yeah,
that's
and
good.
I think it's much faster once you get the hang of the commands.
So when we say you don't need to use a mouse, basically, right? Like Vim is all command based.
Yeah.
You don't need to use mouse at all to move around. You if you need to go up, you just 5.
Yeah.
And
the copy code between different files. Just you yank those lines and put them in another terminal. I mean, there's also there's some caveats to that. Some terminals don't allow you to copy yank from one terminal to another, but some do.
So
some of them you basically need to open a new window in the same tab, like a visual tab.
But that doesn't sound like one of the reasons I use Vim, right?
No, I mean, this is me geeking out.
Huh?
This is me geeking out.
Yeah. No, I get. I know. I'm just getting a little bit of shit, but. So I personally use Vim with Emacs. So I integrate it in a way where the commands transfer over, so I can copy paste not only in Vim and Emacs, but also to Mac OS X. It shares the clipboard. So if I do YY copy the line, I can in a Mac OS and any editor, if I just paste it shares the clipboard.
Yeah, and one of the other reasons I was using Emacs is basically when you do SSH sessions into another server, and if you're using, let's say, if you just put your computer to sleep, and the next thing you come back and the session is lost, so you need to do the SSH thing again.
Yeah.
So Emacs allows you to have open connections 24/7, even if you put your computer to sleep. So that's something which is used in production.
That's Tmux. But Tmux is like a window management system, and basically it integrates with Vim really well because you can have Vim open and then the terminal, and you can copy paste
and also have those sessions.
You can set it up different windows. So it's very useful. So my reasons are so one of them was you don't need you don't need a mice. It's so much faster. So the learning curve or Vim, it takes some time, but once you start getting used to it, you really get into it, right? And the point is a lot of times you would do some kind of a mouse selection in a normal editor. In Vim, you can just straight up write one command or two commands forward till some letter and just jumps, and you can just copy paste so much faster. The workflow is faster once you get a hang of it. So that's one.
But like you mentioned, there's a learning curve to remember all those commands.
Yeah, but it has a Vim tutor. If you type Vim tutor, it will guide you. It's you just practice, right?
Yeah.
But the learning steep is high. That's kind of the con because you gotta configure the file. But once you learn it, it's good because the other thing I was gonna say, Vim is on every machine. So So that's the advantage. Vim is in every machine. So sometimes if you go Linux, whatever, it's already pre-installed, and so if you need to SSH somewhere,
that's true.
And you sometimes the only thing you can use Takeo or Nano or something.
Nano.
Nano. Whatever. Yes, but you can just use Vim if you are comfortable with Vim. You're you have an editor on every machine. Another thing I noticed is IDEs come and go. Before it was people were using PHP, Eclipse, and adding them Sublime, so it changes. Vim, I'm still using it. So the way I got into it, one of my first jobs I got doing PHP, and before I even graduated a computer science degree, I got a job at a startup, and I was actually using Eclipse to write PHP code, and I noticed all the senior guys were using Vim, and I mean I had a Linux class in college, so I did Vim a little bit. So from that day on, I just deleted Eclipse. I got just so used to it, and like I see people change their IDs all the time, but mine is so customized, and there's so many. So then people are like, "Oh, it's so basic. There's enough. You can do anything in Vim. Like there's plugins, do code completion, auto code completion. There's linters, checkers, nerd tree. You can open multiple files and see the tab. Like you can set it up in any way you want. It's very customized."
Yeah.